James.
Snakes can.
Yep.
Ah!
Water
Come
running.
on, let's go to the
Our
fireplace.
washing machine and dryer were here for years, and Mom did the laundry.
Oh, wow.
And she saw more black rat snakes.
Light's working.
Not everywhere.
Oh, they're scared of us. Oh my gosh, I am a little freaked out. Like, what a one drop to me.
So
I thought there was I guess there used to be like a furnace right there.
The torture room. You bring people down here, lock them up.
yeah, this will be the place
Yeah.
to like to coldly inform them. No one will hear you. You can scream. To no avail.
I wonder how many souls were in this room feeling relief, safety, and maybe also fear and uncertainty.
Yeah, and we think maybe this area was actually a tunnel that extended into who knows where underground.
Right.
But there's more to this story, and you'll see that very soon. We're going to walk out in the woods. My dad and I made wine in this cellar because it was a perfect, consistent temperature. And like, he made a lot of wine, and I was his assistant, you know, at age 12.
Perfect little cellar.
Yeah, and anyway, it was part of his thing. He made this. So watch your head. See the old foundation?
Oh,
That's
wow.
1832.
That's crazy.
We are beneath the old house. See it? See this wood right here?
Wow.
1832 timber. More of the foundation there.
Imagine getting up there running that little piece of pipe and that electrical box there. That was fun.
Yeah. And that's an old hearth chimney, which Stephen Janney, Virginian, he migrated to Ohio in the late 1700s and built this. Watch yourselves, guys. Anyway, let's take a walk in the woods. My dad built this, and we called it cubby holes. And I believe this one was mine, and this one was Quint's. The older brothers, Steve, Pete, and Quint, they dad, he built this for tools.
What'd you keep in your cubby hole?
Look at this, baseball mitts, and you know, just kid stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
Here's dad. I remember he put this here for.
The screws, bolts, and whatnot.
This is all dad stuff from the 1960s, dude.
That's so awesome.
I don't know. My dad was all about fixing, repairing, building a home. It was all about the home. He was a practical man, not always the most efficient.
Yeah, they got it done.
I'll show you. He is like the universal of all
1900s key of choice.
Yeah, these doors.
Skeleton key.
Yeah.
So
in Jamaica, the house I stayed at, that's the kind of key they had.
So this was, Dad converted the old garage into his wood shop. There was a fire one day that I think a lightning strike caused that fire, if my memory serves.
Tools and whatnot. Oh man.
And these were where the dogs slept.
Underneath their little houses.
Yeah, and they were afforded with the cushy bedding.
It's just neat to see these older things, like God knows how old, and the package stuff. It's neat.
I know.
It's really cool. Like Dremel. Wow.
Get me down here. And that was how we sharpened axe heads, knives. we're like Davy Crockett out here.
Sparking.
Oh yeah, man! If you didn't have sparks, you weren't getting any edge.
What's that little door up there?
The attic.
That's the attic space above the kitchen. Now the kitchen was built later. The front was built in 1832, and we'll take you up there and
check out the history.
So William Walter Barker was my great grandfather, and he was an immigrant from England.
Oh, wow!
And he was a minister and a musician and a porcelain artist.
What?
And a watercolorist. But he was a true man of God. I mean, you'll see his testimonies and works, and there's just a lot of stories about him. And he died young before my mother was born. My grandmother was maybe 14 when he passed. He was my grandmother's father. That would be Winky. His name was Barker.
He was Minister Barker.
Yeah, and he, well, yeah, a lot of family history. He married Phoebe Scammell from Wales. Step on these boards, like I did.
Keep lying, right?
Bill, this space, around 1992, and it was brilliant what he did, because when you stand here, this used to be a patio.
Okay.
The house was in the shape of a C. So this used to be exterior wall. And you can see up here, formerly exterior wall.
Oh,
and that's the old part of the house that was built in 1832. And Dad designed this bathroom. His thinking was for old age. And it did literally become my dad's old age bathroom, and his bedroom was right in there. You remember. So stand here, James. When you stand here, hold on. Now, look in all four directions. North, south, east, and west. You, just by standing here, you get all the cardinal compass points. And when I saw Dad had done that, he was showing it to me for the first time. I said, "Oh my gosh, Dad, this is the master stroke of this house's architecture." And he was kind of smiling proudly because he knew it was correct. We're in the old part of the house, the 1832 part. And you can see some of see this laughing? Yeah, this is all Steve and Janney. What fell? Oh, sign's gone. We had a sign that said built 1832 by Steve and Janney. He was from Virginia. Now, what we were told is that Steve and Janney liberated his slaves. He supposedly had enslaved people in Virginia. He came to Ohio, and in 1832 he built this house. That's verified. And he's buried locally. And this house became a node on the Underground Railroad. And in fact, Springboro is very well documented, verified. One of my high school teachers, Don Ross, has researched it extensively. There's a wonderful video, I can send you the link, of my former teacher, Don Ross, talking about the Quaker roots of Springboro. The Quakers were pacifists, they were abolitionists, they they were Holy Spirit Christians. That's why they call them Quakers, because they
Yeah.
you know, charismatic types. But they were also so strict in their faith that apparently they didn't believe in reproduction, so they died out. Is what someone told me. They took it to the extreme. So I don't know about that. It's the facade, the front facing 1832 portion of the house, which was just a box, simple rectangle.
Right.
That was Grandpa's room.
This was my father's last bedroom.
Nice little armoire.
And you know, this is where my father and mother made their bedroom, the first bedroom, when we moved here in 1965. And then they moved to another room in the house and made it their bedroom, I believe directly above. And then anyway, there were reconfigurations of sleeping quarters.
Sure.
But this, that's where I tucked my demented dad into bed in 2015 until we moved him in March of that year to Florida. He loved nothing more than to sit in those rockers and sip some fine single malt.
There you go. Just enjoying creation.
Yeah, his favorite object was a red-tailed hawk that was sore, and he knew this hawk because it was the same red-tailed hawk.
His territory, and I'm sure he wore these fields out and got every little animal and mouse that chose to try to scamper across it.
Do you remember tombstone for Marcia, who died in childhood, and then her dad, the first Gilbert.
I put flowers on that grave.
Yeah, you were there.
And I picked from around.
So it tells a story, and then my grandfather and his mother, Bertha Brockman, from the German immigrant community there, they just picked up and moved west to California, and they left little Marcia and Gilbert, first Gilbert, and their tombstones tell that story. This was our, we called this the den. It was our TV room, and Dad had a desk, a big wooden desk sat right here, and he would do his, Mom and Dad would sit at this desk and write the bills on this checkbook. And it was old school, man. Mm-hmm. There's no computers, no calculators.
Right, just an abacus.
And this bookshelf was full. I think that's mold up there. God, I'm not getting infected. But we burned the heck out of this fireplace. We burned it, and it warmed us as we watched Gunsmoke and Bonanza. Yeah. And the Disney show.
Can I see James?
I believe my mother commissioned this wallpaper job. I remember the man who did it. He was really good at it. So again, we're in the old part of the house, the 1832 part. We're facing down to the highway, which is now South Main Street. This used to be where Uncle Quint and I had our bedroom. My bed was right here, Uncle Quint's was right here. I actually have those beds in Arizona.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're broken down, it's stored away, they just need to be rebuilt with a frame. There used to be a fireplace in there.
Wow.
So, and okay, then my older brothers, Their bedroom was down here, and so there used to be this hallway that went into this. There was a bedroom here where,
What's that?
and then there was like a separate little bedroom here, which was my bedroom in high school, and then like its door was here, then this hallway was. But this was all reconfigured in the late 70s, early 80s. And the same carpenter, his name is John Wonderly. He was the best man at your mother's and my wedding. John Wonderly. Don't forget that name. He built these closets, and notice they're cedar lined. Cedars deter moths. And also John was so proud when he fit these doors. He was just a teenager. He was gone. He went to the vocational school. Mm-hmm. He said, "Can you feel the suction? Test it. Feel the suction."
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
That he said that's how you hang a door, and he knew his craft. And he repurposed the old doors.
Nice.
And hardware. That's old traditional. Put in the box. John Wonderly. He did the same on this one.
That's now
But this one had this little space above for whatever jewelry or stuff. And like you could sand this surface down and restore that cedar freshness, which again deters moths. My mother wrote to Hank Aaron when he was approaching the Babe Ruth home run record.
Oh yeah.
And in those days, which was in the early 70s, Babe Ruth had this record of 714 home runs. Nobody got close to it until Hank Aaron. Mm-hmm. And Hank Aaron withstood a lot of hatred. And you talk about racist.
Oh yeah, big time.
He took it. And my mom wrote to him to encourage him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't listen to them. Go for it. Good luck. And then my mother got lucky. And by the way, Hank Aaron wrote back to my mom.
Oh, wow.
And that letter was here for years. It was hanging on the wall next to another letter from Sparky Anderson, who was the famous manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Anyway, my mom got lucky and procured tickets to the opening day baseball game in Cincinnati. It used to be Cincinnati always had the opening day ball game, first across the major leagues.
Oh, really?
And she won this ticket lottery, 1974, April something, because she knew that the Atlanta Braves were going to be at Cincinnati, and Hank Aaron was in the lineup, and his record or his home run stats were standing at 713. So we went to that ball game, and when Hank Aaron got up to bat, I was 13 years old. And I had to stand on my seat because everybody was standing up, and I couldn't see. And we were up in the nosebleed seats. They called them the red seats. And we were so far from that green field down below when a batter hit the ball. I mean, there was like a millisecond of, you'd see the ball come off the bat, and then like a millisecond later, because, sight travels faster than sound. And so it was surreal, but there we were. Hank Aaron's up to bat, everyone in the whole stadium, 50,000 capacity, on their feet, and you could just feel the electric in the air. Silent. and he rips a foul into deep left, foul ball, and everyone's like, ugh. Then another pitch. Jack Billingham was on the mound, a famous Reds pitcher, and he hit number 714. It was epic. And Uncle Quint was there. You'll remember it. And my mom and dad, of course, they're gone. The sight of a paranormal event that my high school classmate, Todd Henderson, class of 79, witnessed and supposedly videotaped. I did see him play the tape. I didn't see much.
Is anybody up there?
Come, James.
And then we're gonna go over there.
Soon to be wife Bobby witnessed was this door going. They claimed. Now, I saw the video. I didn't really see that.
I had it recorded on video.
Supposedly, I saw the video, and I'm saying I didn't see much going on in the video. And I have a whole doctrine about paranormal activity and ghosts. Essentially, the Holy Ghost trumps them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough said.
Yeah.
So I don't fear no ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. As he's, come on, James, you go first.
I'll leave one. I go in the attics all the time.
Ooh, ooh!
What?
It's an old trunk.
You wanna get it?
How do we look?
We performed several cleanings here. You know what I mean? We were first getting all the heirlooms, and then we came back and we filled multiple large dumpsters full of trash. And after one of those cleanings,
Oh god. See how heavy that thing is?
It's a lot heavier than it looks.
Yeah, I know. It's like a real deal trunk.
Wow, this goes way further.
we're taping this.
You'll probably have to open it up to even fit it through or fit it.
Oh yeah, it's not gonna fit.
Yeah, you have to open it up.
That's probably why it's still up here.
Right, I got trapped up here in the creation of this build. It was like, we're just leaving this heavy thing here.
I want to see now.
So on that particular cleaning phase, my brothers went home. They went back to Michigan, took his dogs. Which I was like, I miss those dogs.
Newspaper. What is it?
I fell asleep like around 7 or 8 p.m. But I was just exhausted. And I was alone in the house. And I woke with a snort at a few minutes before. And it was just, there was no sound, nothing. I just awoke. I just wasn't awake.
It has Titanic vibes.
I was in pain from my high school classmate, Todd.
There's more.
And
There's
I
more paper.
began to think,
Oh, packing paper.
if event happens. So I started making a plan in my head.
It's like a
Grab
dresser.
my car keys to my rental car and just bolt for the car.
It's a chest
Just
of
bolt.
drawers.
Make it happen.
Car, leave. And you know, I kind of reasoned through that. I thought, that's stupid. How am I going to survive the ground here? Because you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I know where I'm going to sleep. So then plan B was, I will go
You
up
can get an
those
idea of what it looks like in there.
stairs. And, like, I was sleeping right in the chamber below, in the old house, on the ground floor with that fireplace. And I thought, if I hear that attic door, I will go up the stairs and by God confront whatever. And I thought, no, I won't do it.
Right.
And so then my plan C was, what if and this is like the childlike kicking. I was like, I'll just hunker down in my covers and I'll cover myself.
Just hide.
I'm not kidding. Yeah. I'll just they won't see
Just going
me.
through all the options.
Yeah, and then it's funny when
That'd be good for sir.
Yeah, I got it started. You want to pull it the rest of the way?
the next thought that came to my mind was, I am in my father's house.
Yeah, this is my family's house. This is my bloodline.
This is like the doors were bolted, locked, and I knew that physically nothing.
Here, I'll go.
Angle it.
It's no wonder it stayed up there, right?
That has to be the reason. Because I don't think, even if we angle it,
Man, that thing's so cool. Take it apart.
take pieces out of it. What do you think? Because we're not going to be able to. There's no physical way unless I am able to like notch out this board, which I'm not going to do with anything. You can see where they began to try to do so, because you can see it's perfectly fit to this point, and that's where they've given up at. You want to get up here and
I had a conversation with my mother, and the last words she said to me right here as she was in her bed was, "I love you." Really, and it was a shock for me. I just could hardly deal with it. And she lasted 9 months from when I first heard the news of her illness until she was gone in March of 1982. March, just like your Granny Patty. And we scattered my mother in the woods. We should go there now while we have daylight. I'll show you where we did that.
Let's do that.
I told Quint that James is wiry and lean, and so maybe I'll volunteer him for that.
Oh yeah, I'll do it.
This was my father's wet bar. He installed that and drained right out to directly out the wall, and that froze every winter. And so my mother always chastised my dad about his California plumbing. And it was kind of a little dig because my dad was an engineer, see, so.
What's in there?
Here. This is one of my favorite drinks of all time. It's CLR. It really gets you where you need to be. Got some good old prairie vodka, certified organic.
So in the 1960s, my oldest brother Steve, who was born in '54, he would prepare a trident spear with this tip he'd buy from the local hardware store down in Springboro, Ace Hardware, and then he would attach it to the end of a stick, and then in the dead of night we'd go out there on like a pontoon boat, and some of those pontoons I think are in here. No, shoot, they're gone. But anyway, and I would hold the light. And like when we would see a bullfrog, and you could always see its eyes, I would hold the light so that it was blinded while Steve would come in with that. And then we'd have frog legs for breakfast. It is cruel. And, my dad constructed, with the help of Quint and me, we had 3 dog kennels. So these were the runs that we poured concrete. They were enclosed with the fence. All 3 sides. They had gates on the end, and then they had their inner compartments where they could go in at night. And it was an enterprise. We took care of people's dogs for price, for money, and we made good money. Quint and I did, because we took care of the dogs, we watered them, and we had a pump that ran off of a little belt that was running on a Briggs and Stratton motor that was on the rototiller. And we called our enterprise T&Q Dog Kennels. And we even had cards, like Christmas greetings, that we sent out just to like keep the vibe going. Like, hey, think about us when you take your next 2-week summer vacation. Yeah. Happy holidays. So Uncle Rich, and you're staying at their house, Kim and Rich. Rich, he officiated the scattering of my father right here, Memorial Day weekend in 2017. Shagbark hickory. My dad loved trees of all kinds, except for maybe those. That's a honey locust with the massive thorns.
Oh, I'm so glad you pointed that out.
Those are your Jesus thorns.
Grandpa showed me that tree one day. Look, point at it, the camera at the tree with the thorns. And he was telling me about it, and I think he accidentally broke off a thorn, and he was like, "Here," and I still have it.
Well, Crossroads for my dad and me when I was taking care of him in 2015 between January 12th and March 20th. I can't forget those dates. For 10 weeks, I was his caregiver. I was feeding him, making him take his showers and putting him to bed, and driving him everywhere, maintaining his social calendar because everybody wanted to see him, so I made it happen. And anyway, the temperature was like in the teens when I arrived January 12th. And so, yeah, we came out here and the woods shielded us from the wind and the cold that wind does. I mean, remember how windy we were feeling it out there? And now we're in here, we were sheltered. So I had my dad work on a project. The project was simple. Let's clear a trail. Let's break trail. And this was our crossroads. We had a trail going this way, which has always been here. Like we used to drive the John Deere tractor back here. So Dad and I developed north-south paths, and it became a crossroads. And we worked on it every day, and it simply amounted to this. And that's what my dad could handle. Like my dad was really, he loved to work the landscape and just break. He loved to.
He didn't like to sit around and do nothing.
He wanted to work with his hands all the time, no matter if it was with a tool or just his hands. So, and for a dementia patient, this worked. And I discovered this early on. Like, all right, just give him something to do. He's got nervous energy. He wants to be helpful. And I did have a purpose. I constantly stated to him, "Come on, Dad, we're building the path. Let's work on the North Fork today." So, but this was our main intersection. That's where we kept coming back to. We had 4 directions we could go. Which direction you want to go today, Dad? Yeah, good question. And then, so we were like breaking trail because this was all overgrown in 4 directions, and we were literally just making the path with our hands. And then we enjoyed the path. We'd walk it, we'd explore it. This is a very crude rock-lined well. You can see the stones. This actually goes down at least, I want to say 6 feet. What I've seen, now it may go farther. And my belief, based on all of the reading and information I have learned, is that this was the where the freed slaves were encamped, and I believe they actually built a community back here. And there's some old other artifacts I can show you related to that, perhaps. But there's this is going to require a lot of historical research. And anyway, so the story goes is that Underground Railroad was not just people hiding in the house, but hiding on the land. And we're in the back of the acres. The road was, as you know, at least a half a mile from here. And it's my belief that Stephen Janney liberated his slaves, and they migrated with him. They came with him to Ohio, and they just were like a large group of people. Janney with his whatever, his wealth, his education. I mean, he built the house. He's always credited with building the house. Did he have help building the house? I assume so. Were these African Americans? I don't know. But these are story details to flesh out with research. And he is buried in this town, Stephen Janney. Very important name. His genealogy is on that chart in the bathroom. You know about that? Oh, have you not seen that? Okay, we'll look at that when we go back. That's an important chart. We'll talk about that. But anyway, Steve and Janie and a whole community of African Americans who found freedom in the North because of the Quakers, the Springboro community, which believed in abolition. And you know that story. So, thanks for coming in and seeing this, because I think this is significant. I don't have